I did not expect myself to talk about that so easily, and I didn't expect this individual to talk about their experience with me so readily.
Yeah.
Asian men don't talk like that.
Tell me the story of how you first found Proud Asian Men.
Well, it was funny because I was touring, doing taiko in Canada at the time, and it was a really tough show. But there was a moment where I was just kind of hanging out, just getting ready for the next show, and then I was just doom scrolling. I'm like, oh man, I'm so exhausted. I'm so like spent right now, physically, mentally, emotionally. And then I was just doom scrolling, and then I saw this ad, or something was being promoted, and it said Asian men's retreat, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, that was a retreat. So I'm like, all right, I'll come back to that later. And then I went to YouTube, and I was really intrigued. Like, what the hell is a men's retreat? So I fucking just like searched men's retreat, which was like the worst thing to do.
What did you find?
Because I saw all these videos of all these men shirtless, and they just looked sweaty and dirty, screaming and hitting trees in nature. I'm like, don't. What do you do? What are you doing screaming in nature like that? I didn't resonate. I didn't resonate, and no one in the videos looked like me. And so I was like, I hope they're not doing this. So I went back to the ad, and then I just noticed just chairs in a circle with a bunch of Asian men clothed and just sitting there, just calmly having a conversation. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Okay, cool, whatever. So I better reserve my spot. It seems like this is something that people want to do. So I signed up and then forgot about it. And then life went on. I came back home, and I had a timer kind of slowly telling me when this thing was going to be. And I talked to Oscar, my wife, and she made some plans of like, hey, let's go to LA. I'll meet my best friend, and you could do whatever you need to do for this thing that you're going to this thing. Right? And I'm like, okay, cool. And as soon as I got closer to the time or closer to the day, I started feeling like really apprehensive about it. I started thinking like, well, do I really want to go now? Now that I'm starting to get a little bit of rest, now that I'm starting to kind of come back to my senses, I don't know about this. A lot of questions in my head started forming. Like, what are the people going to be like? Are they going to be judgmental? I've come across a lot of judgment, especially in the community. I'm not
From Asian men.
From Asian men. I'm not Asian enough, or I'm not Filipino enough. I'm not even American enough, whatever that even means to be in these spaces. Yeah. And so finally it came down to the day, and now I was starting to feel a really deep pull to turn away. I'm just gonna leave. Maybe if I can just hang out with my wife, I'll be okay. But she's like, I got plans. I'll see you later.
So dropping you off at school.
Dropping you off at school, right? Yeah. And it was weird because she asked me, she's like, well, so when do I pick you up? And I said, well, 6 hours from now. And then I looked at the description. I'm like, wait a minute, it's not 6 hours, it's 8. What the hell am I going to do for 8 hours? Right? So, shit, I kind of signed in. I'm here, and I don't even know where this fucking place is. And, I don't know what to do. So I started kind of feeling this need to, like, I need to start thinking of a backup plan to get out. I need to, like, maybe look to see if I could get a lift somewhere and get out of here, or find a
cafe nearby,
and just to kind of escape, right? And so I went in, and it was this really strange entrance. It was a very skinny door. There's no sign of anything outside. It seemed like a really kind of random place, and so that already in itself was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what this is. And so I walked in, and then that's when I was greeted by Ra, the owner of the studio at Pleasure Studios, and then he, welcomed me in. I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know that was his place. I didn't even know that his name was Ra at the time.
Just a friendly face.
Just a friendly face, and just locked onto my eyes and just said, hey, welcome. And it was a really warm welcome. Wow. And then you came from behind him, like walking to me. He's like, hey, you must be Noel. Welcome. And I'm like, how the hell do you know what my name was? That's how I got in. That's how it all began. If I were to just talk about just the entry point of fine, I'll just see what this is all about, and if during a break, if I'm not, vibing with people or whatever they're talking about, if it's kind of weird,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna leave, like slip out the door.
Tell me about the day. Yeah, once you got in the door, I'm curious how
Yeah.
what is the arc of the apprehension through the day?
I think for me, especially being an older Asian man in the space, and I guess people didn't realize that at the time.
We did not. Asian don't raisin.
Asian don't raisin, right? No, it was interesting because then it's like there are people who I could already presume were familiar with each other, and so I had this narrative in my mind saying, "Oh, here we go again. Everyone knows each other. I'm the odd one out, and I have to kind of posture myself, or I have to protect myself somehow.
I already don't belong.
I really don't belong, right? And so I have to either challenge or position myself to be in a place where I could either be taken seriously or be forgotten. Like
Wow.
let me just kind of stay within the shadow realm of things and just hide there as I observe. Right. So like have a distance between me and the participants, even though I'm technically a participant.
Right. Yeah, to either win or not be a part of.
Right. And I would say, looking back at that version of me, it was a very, especially with the show that I came off of, it was a very binary way of thinking. It's either this or that. There was no room for anything to happen in between that mindset.
Yeah.
And so what struck me, though, was, I don't know the question that was asked, that you asked initially, but I think the way it was presented, it took me aback because we turned next to someone that we didn't know. You had said, turn to a partner or a friend that you're sitting next to and then talk about this question. And I think it had something to do with why are you here, right? As you usually talk about.
I do ask that.
You do ask that question. And so interestingly enough, I ended up sitting next to someone who was in my age range, and we had a really deep connection at that point, just out the gate. And then at that point I said, I did not expect myself to talk about that so easily, and I didn't expect this individual to talk about their experience with me so readily.
Yeah.
Asian men don't talk like that. They don't go deep right away, especially with a stranger.
Strangers. That's right.
Because you wouldn't even go that deep with someone you really know, let alone even family.
Yeah.
You just don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Just keep it within your body, slam it down, and lock it somewhere, and then never talk about it again. Right?
Yeah, it's very opposite to the what would the neighbors think kind of mentality.
Yeah. And so I think that's where I started to become. Maybe I started to open up a little bit more. I was curious. Now I'm curious. Now I feel like there's a discovery. There's an exploration to be had. And so I kind of said, okay, I guess I'm not going to leave right now. Okay, let me try one more question. Let's see who else I'm going to talk to. And so the question started getting more deeper, like starting to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think one of the things that was really fascinating about that is that I tend to be a very emotional based artist, or I tend to go deep into emotions, and that has landed me in a lot of trouble in the sense where it's like they'll say, you don't need to be that emotional, or you're being dramatic, or
It's just too much.
it's just too much. Tone it down. That's not what men do. But then I realized it's kind of like, well, what do men do? Because the thing that men do right now seems to be not working out for you, right? So you're telling me not to do those things, but then I'm watching you kind of crumble at the seams and kind of disintegrate from inside out. And
Not exactly an aspirational model.
right. And it's like, okay, so you seem on the surface that you got your shit together, but if I were to crack you open, you're this storm of chaos. And I'm feeling that storm of chaos now, and I don't want that inside of my body. I don't want that in my soul. And so anyway, I've always felt that way. So these questions kind of felt like it was this hinging of this opening. It didn't feel intrusive. It didn't feel like I was being cracked open or having a destructive force kind of forcing me to reveal something I didn't want to. It was like, do you want to talk about this or not? Do you how far do you want to go?
Yeah.
And with this individual, how far are they willing to even go with you, right? Where a lot of my experiences were, if I go down that deep, maybe someone will drown in the process in the ways that they haven't been acclimated to how far I can go, right? So there was one thing in my head that I fucking said. I was like, okay, though I'm starting to feel this emotional trigger now, or like emotional resonance. I feel like they're being plucked. The heartstrings are being plucked. They're being played, and so I'm like, okay, the one thing I don't want to do is be the first motherfucker to be emotional in public because I don't know none of these motherfuckers, right? I don't know nobody up in this fucking place and shit.
Yeah.
I drove up from San Diego.
Yeah.
All these cats are from LA and whatever.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely not. Do
Yeah.
not show
Hard
emotion.
no.
Right, hard pass. I will not be that person, and I feel it welling up like, like I'm almost like I'm gonna regurgitate out some emotional vomit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, not today, Satan, not today.
Yeah.
Right?
How'd that work out for you?
It did not work well. God damn it, because there was this amazing practitioner in breathwork, Manpreet, and she was the only woman that was like the woman to be invited into the space, which was really awesome because she didn't have, especially for a men's specific space, did not resonate this kind of intrusive female presence, woman's presence. Like it felt really important for her, integral for her to enter at that point. She was very integral to the work. As a taiko artist, I do a lot of nonverbal work. A lot of exploration was just feeling through the drum, and then conversation later. And so for her, it was the act of breathing. And so
I got you. We here.
no, it was just I recall as if it happened just yesterday. Like just she just had me breathe. She had all of us breathe. Like she had all of us were breathing, right? And it was just interesting.
Super breathing.
Yeah, but it was just breathing from emotional lungs. And granted, I came from the show topic was about a mentor and artist and friend, Michelle Fuji, out in Portland, Oregon, artistic director and leader of Unit Sozo out there. And the show that I was a part of was called The Constant State of Otherness. Like, how fucking deep can you go? This is where I started to really understand the power of a non-binary way of thinking. It's not only just about gender identity, it's about the concept of thinking and feeling and looking and surveying your world. And so coming from that understanding, learning from friends who are non-binary identity-wise was very eye-opening for me because it's like, I am living a non-binary life in that I am American and I'm Asian at the same time, right? I am American and I'm Filipino at the same time, right? And so it is the both and of that of my identity, that existence. So the breath work really resonated emotionally because it was talking about everything that hurt me without having to say words. Yeah. Very transformative. It really was. I think that's what it really hit me emotionally because then I started crying in that moment. I felt alone at the beginning and I didn't know. My eyes were closed and then she came over and then put her hand on my chest and pressed. And it felt so maternal and felt so loving. And it was a physical feeling I hadn't felt in such a long time. Such a long time. So we were breathing, and it was just very intense. It was so intense, it brought me into the child state. And then looking at the child version of me and realizing how much pain he endured on his own and had to figure out very adult things as a child instead of being a child.
Yeah.
Right?
Had to grow up quick.
He had to grow up quick. Yeah, had to relinquish childhood, and he didn't know. It's just he knew that he didn't want to be in pain. And he just wanted people to love him more, and that wasn't happening. And so the breath work brought everything up. And afterward, we had a conversation, and it was so funny because I don't know.
You and Manpreet?
Oh no, just in front of everybody.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
It was like it's crazy like general question. It was, so what did you experience? So like what the fuck? And no one said anything. No one said anything, and then my hand was went, cha, I have fucking something to say. And then I started talking, and then I think the one thing, especially when I feel deeply, is that the words cease from pouring past my lips. It's like almost like a blockade in my throat, because then tears would take its place. And then no one was saying anything at that point, and then I rose my hand, and then I started talking, and then I started crying. And I said, what the fuck did I just say earlier? I don't want to be the first motherfucker to start being emotional outwardly, and started fucking crying immediately. It's like, God,
the one promise I
damn
made
it.
to myself.
One promise I made to myself. Fuck. Right. Yeah, I was the first person to just start crying at that point, and I just felt this anger and rage come up. But then I think what was a catalyst, I realized, was because I did that, other men started crying. And then when the floodgates opened, then it was like the end game for everybody emotionally in that space, because now they were given permission to talk this time for real.
Right, that man over there cried and he didn't get punished for it. He actually got more love for it.
Yeah.
How interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that we're talking about this now, because that was back in 2024 in May, and we're coming upon the 2-year anniversary of that moment, May 2026, and I think I just get so emotional because it was a moment in time where it really changed the game for me. It started really percolating all this other stuff I had ignored and locked away in the confines of these dark parts of my soul that I swore that would never see the light of day ever. And because I felt like, and talking to my wife, who is an LCSW and therapist, she said, this is what the uncomfortability is, expansion. And I think about that one lyric in a Sade song that she sings, it hurts like brand new shoes. And so I think about that. If I want to become this version of maleness, or to be a version of man that I've always wanted to be, I have to stretch past who I allow the world to place on me as an expectation, right? They gilded the cage. You stay here. Everything is beautiful and safe here as long as it's on our terms, and you sing when we tell you. And then I realized at that point, it's like that question, like, aren't you fucking exhausted, right? And I think since then, it's like always this one other layer of just peels off, and then another peels off, and another, and it's like I'm always constantly in this state of rawness, because I'm becoming this new version of myself that I didn't know wanted to be. From that point, what I thought was, oh fuck, I can't, what the fuck am I gonna talk about for 6 hours? Reveal that it was 8 hours, and then after the 8 hours were fucking done, it was, wait a minute, that's not enough fucking time. I have to go home now? What the hell do I do with all this unlocked feelings? Now,
I want to talk to that guy over there.
And this person, and this person, and this person. And I think that's when you came up to me towards the end and really thought about the thing you experienced with me in that moment. And I think that's where the bridge work started to happen between the two of us in our brotherhood. And so, yeah, it became a new start line for me, especially talking about men's mental health. It's kind of like the proverbial unicorn. Does it really exist? Or is it just mythology at this point? Like, right? It's something that we don't talk about. It's something that I didn't know I had access to. And the crazy thing is, it's been there, but it was just so wrapped in this cocoon of fear because it's scary. You don't go toward it, because rather be safe than sorry. But when I mention, or when we talk about curiosity and discovery, you go toward the unknown. We don't know what was there. We don't know what exists there. We don't know, and the shadows may not actually be predatory. They may not be harmful. They could just be mirror images of a version of you that just needed to be seen once for the first time, right?
In a nutshell, what would you say you found for yourself at that retreat?
I found me. Parts of me too. I think it's so funny we're talking about this, because I didn't foresee that I would recall or reminisce on these things, but to know that happened almost 2 years ago, virtually 2 years ago, and how resonant the shock waves are still. To find myself, because I didn't realize how much I lost myself to the expectation of others, right? So in that space, it's like there was a sense of finally learning to orient myself to my true compass north to come home. There is still a journey to make it, but now I know my direction.
What's an example of a time you lost yourself to someone else's expectation?
I would say just being in the taiko world, right? You know, it was, I was never part of that one school, or I never trained under that one sensei, or I didn't hang out with this crew. But taiko for me became a healing space. It became some place where I felt like I belonged to me, to myself. I didn't know that. I didn't have the words for, I didn't have the lexicon to understand what that feeling was at all. Because it was always trying to vie for position, to be seen, to be accepted by someone else's expectation of me. I think I found myself in a space where I said, hey, taiko has become a place where I could really see myself as an artist, as a musician, as a creative. Just for me, not about proficiency. It's just about the art form. And I think about it ancestrally. Like, I'm not even Japanese, but it helped me feel more one with my body. Taiko became the medium. It just so happened to be that's what it was. And so from there, I started realizing through that experience, like, hey, I am an artist. I am creative in this. I do feel through this. I can show people my version of this and have conversations. So I think it pushed me to the forefront for the first time. I kept putting myself last in many spaces because maybe I'm too avant-garde, or maybe I'm too abstract for people to really receive me and consume me. And then I realized it's kind of like, well, I don't want to be consumed. I wanted to be encountered. I wanted to be experienced. I didn't want to be taken for granted enough to be piecemealed out. And it was not just only in taiko spaces. That was a place, but also just in Asianness alone, to be Filipino enough, to be Asian enough. And it's so interesting because then I realized, well, then who were the people who made me feel me? I would say I really thank the Black community for that. A lot of my Black friends, they said, man, you're just a cool human being. They didn't have to say like, oh, you're actually Filipino? Do you speak the language? Oh, you're Asian, you're not Mexican? It was, oh, you're cool. You seem like a really cool cat. You seem like a really cool person to hang out with. You're a homie. So then I realized, like, I could also show up to the front, because I realized it was, okay, how can I position myself to be accepted? I never had to do that with a lot of my Black friends growing up. And so, you know, now in this Asian space that I find myself in, it was weird because then no one was asking. They never asked. You didn't ask. The whole audience that was in there, the participants, never asked, hey, what kind of Asian are you? It was already known. You must be Asian. You're in the space. That's not to even be talked about. Let's get to the shit now.
Let's get to the human
Let's
part.
get to the humanness. Let's get to the core. You don't have to talk about like, oh, you're only 1/4 or 1/2, or like, oh, you're Filipino from like born here or born on the islands. Like, it was never that question is. Why do I have to even talk about that? Because we're not here for that. Right? And so I think to answer another part of that question would be that, I felt like maybe I do have some kind of value. Maybe I do have something to offer just in my existence. I mean, I guess we all do, right? And so it's still a touchy subject because I talk about it in those spaces, and I never really, I guess I would say I have a knack for also deflecting myself because I had to so for so long, right? And so it's so easy and maybe second nature and way too organic for me to be able to, oh, let me just talk about myself in a flash moment and then leave it to the side and table it because I want to know about you.
Yeah, let me talk in nature and plant metaphors.
Right. Let me be poetic, and just so I could smoke screen and breadcrumb you away from what I don't want to reveal about myself right now, because that for me is maybe addiction to control. If I can keep you at an arm's length distance away from the trauma that I've gone through or the pain that I had to survive, then maybe I don't have to relive it again. And yet, I desperately want to talk about it to let it out. I think one of the things that I realized in that space back then was, I want to talk about this. I want to let it go because it's just kind of this cancer cell that's in there just growing. And then the crazy thing was other people felt that way too in their way. And that blew my mind. It's like, you need to let go of that too. I didn't know. I thought my situation was unique.
I thought I was the only one.
I was the only one. And
No.
then you're suffering over there, and you're suffering, and you take suffering in a different way, but you take suffering in a different way. And the common denominator is that we're all suffering silently. And yet the commonality between all of us is we're suffering and we're trying to not suffer anymore. That was the crazy part of it, is like, if we only talked about it. That was a really huge turning point for me. And then what was scary was, if this is happening in this anomaly of this grouping of men, Asian men in this space today, I can't even fathom the greater community just within the US alone,
Yeah.
let alone our neighbors in Canada, let alone our neighbors in Australia or the UK or Europe and Asia proper, right? What are they experiencing? And no one's talking about it until now. Well, I think that was a really, really important thing, because then it just made me realize, like, I have a lot of layers to peel away to get to where I want to become. And it's not like, if I do this first, then I can become that. It's a thing that happens simultaneously, right? In tandem. As the one layer peels off, the more I could give room to emotionally expand, right? And I think that part of it too was kind of, I will say, I'll use the word, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming because I never knew I could do this. I never knew I had access to this. I never knew that I could be given a space to talk about this and still be accepted as human, right? Instead of saying like, oh, you're just a dramatic obstacle that needs to be shoved aside to collect dust because you're in my way. Like that, so some kind of like objectified lens. And I would feel like it really showed itself too, like the things I was learning or things that I was practicing showed itself in my art, because then I started going deeper emotionally. And I think that was the one thing that I love about taiko, is when when it becomes a medium or a vessel for real an emotional vessel. The drum sounds different. The art form sounds different. The movement is different, And I think a lot of times too with taiko, it could be hyper masculine. It's like everything has to be about like screaming and like hitting hard, and it's like, okay, that's great, and there's definitely nothing wrong, and it's very entertaining, and it could be there's a lot of synergy in that. I liked it when I was younger, and then as I got older, I realized I didn't gravitate towards that way. I started to really sink into this concept called the ma. In Japanese, ma is like the space between, the negative spacing. A lot of times in art, it's what is in between physical objects matters just as much as the objects themselves. And so in music, it is the spacing, the intentionality in the places where sound doesn't exist. And I realize a lot of transformation happens there. A lot of realizations happen there. A lot of creativity happens there, because anything could happen, especially in Asian spaces, Asian American spaces. Everything is so black and white. It's either this or it's that. And in my mind, it's like, I challenge that, because I'm like, if you're going from point A to point B, then what the fuck happens in between from A to B?
Teleportation,
right? It's not an instantaneous, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? And so in that moment, it's like, okay, you're getting from point A to point B, but what does that line of trajectory look like? Is it a straight line? It's usually not a straight line. We want to pretend that it's a straight line. It's not. It's just looping and meandering and rigid and loose and disorienting and foggy journey. And for the most part, we have to do all that alone to get to point B. And so by the time point B, we get there, people are celebrating us, and they're like, oh, cool, you finally made it. Why are you tired? Why are you battered and bruised? Like, didn't you take that one path that was super straight to get there? Right. So
why don't you want to talk to me at the after party?
why do you want to talk to me about the after? Right. And so right. And so that's why I'm saying, like, in music too, what I realize in taiko is the thunderous, earthy sound, resonant and bass, to be met with nothing but your imagination, is so beautiful and difficult to harness to make it impactful. I think that's when I started realizing that like these kind of conversations help me understand the power of the ma just in daily life. and not to underestimate silence, not to underestimate the words unspoken, right? The heart intentionality, the spirit of it all,
Yeah.
right? You can't take that for granted. There's so much power there, right? Just like in nature, some of the most powerful things stand in quietness, like the mountains and trees.
Yeah. With the beautiful plants around
Beautiful
us.
plants around us. Like I mean, I just even just walking in, I just take a moment to stare and observe and encounter. I'm not trying to consume it. I'm trying to say, oh, you've been existing here, and your growth is so, you know, picture like your growth is a symbol is symbolism itself of how well you're being taken care of. Just being able to thrive in a space like this
Yeah.
by the person that takes care of you, like that must show you are showing how well you can grow when you're loved. I don't have to say like I don't have to feel jealousy. I don't have to feel envy. It's just one of those situations where it's like, whoa, this must be a place where kindness resides. Right? And that could be in the ma space between notes or between sculptures and whatever, like,
Yeah.
and so then what is the ma in between moments of trauma and pain and healing, right? Like, again, to heal you have to recognize something that hurt you or traumatized you to be able to heal from that space. Gotta recognize that shit first before you can fucking heal.
Gotta admit it first.
You gotta admit it first, right?
So
Yeah.
tell me, what was it like growing up not being seen as human?
It became a really mixed message to say that I don't have a value inherently, that I have to work really fucking hard to even be noticed, not to even be thought of as valuable.
Or even celebrated.
Or even celebrated. It's, okay, you got this accolade or you've transcended whatever the fuck. What next? It's always the next project or it's always the next realization. Okay, cool, whatever, great, go, next page, next chapter. There was never a breathing moment to say like, yeah, that was fucking hard and you did it. Let's take a moment to just sit with that in the ma. Sit with that and be one with this new version of you, and then enjoy. Now let's see what's next. Where do you want to go? Like, I feel like to not be seen or to not be how did you word it? What did you say?
To not be seen as human.
To not be seen as human. It's like you are a machine. I'm inputting my expectation and you must work accordingly. Right? I already pressed the buttons. How come you're not doing what I'm commanding you to do? Why is this the result? You must not be working hard enough. Maybe if I hit it a couple more times, then you will work properly. Right? And
Like a machine.
Like a machine, right. And
like
so
an appliance.
Right, like an appliance. Like to be plugged in and charged and then maybe partially dusted here and there, but just keep producing. Right? And I think one of the things about that is, especially when presented with that existence, at some point you believe that that is true. Maybe I'll keep doing that then.
My fault.
Yeah, my fault. Maybe
My fault I got tired.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe if I learn to ration my energy out, maybe I could be loved more. Maybe if I could just do what they ask me and then do a little more without them asking me, maybe they'll accept me more.
Maybe I haven't dug deep enough.
Right. I guess I'm lazy. I guess I'm not working hard enough. I guess labor equates to value, right? Maybe I'm not being laborious enough. Maybe I'm not smart enough, right? I guess I'm not studying hard enough, right? I need to choose my path in life and never deviate, because the moment I deviate, I wasted my time. And therefore, as a chain reaction, wasted their time. And so I am a waste of time. Right? I made a mistake, therefore I am a mistake now. I should have known out the gate that I shouldn't have done X, Y, and Z. And so and so my awareness had to be so heightened that I needed to be not only 10 steps ahead. 10 steps ahead to just your average schmuck is like, whoa, that's really hard to get to. But when you have to live hundreds of steps ahead and think of how to survive like this onslaught of all these different scenarios that could possibly be, and know how to put that fire out in real time, in seconds. Cool, you're kind of like this kind of social ninja. You could do it fucking anything. Cool, great. But you're also invisible again. You are so behind the scenes all the time, so comfortably, that people don't realize that the reason why they're having a beautiful event or a beautiful party or a beautiful experience or a beautiful project is because of that one person that toils by themselves in the darkness behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden, when that kind of person is not present, they wonder like, well, wait a minute, that last thing was so fucking awesome, but how come this is not as smooth as it has been? What happened? But see, what happened? It's not the question of who isn't here.
Who isn't here? How are they?
How are they? It's what happened. How come the system is not functioning the way it should have been?
My cogs are missing.
My cogs are missing, right?
What's the cost of living like that over a long period of time? What has been the cost of living like that?
The cost is me. I portion out parts of my soul as collateral, as an almsgiving, as some kind of currency sacrifice to keep the god of expectation satiated. I must present pieces of me at the altar so that the system can remain the same. So the cost is my humanity. And I can never talk about my feelings because a cog doesn't have feelings. Just do your job, keep your head down, and everything's going to be fine. If you have feelings, you're probably just not working hard enough. Oil the system a little bit more. Then get your shit together, right?
The minimal input needed for the output desired.
Right. And so, and I felt, for the longest time, I felt guilty saying that. Fuck, I don't want to ever share my feelings or my emotions with anybody because they could take advantage of me.
Right. There's a danger.
Right? There's a part of me that still kind of thinks that way. And I don't like that because then it's like, I will never know true freedom. And freedom, and my wife talks about this too. She was talking about how we live big, right? And it's like people say, oh, I live big. And so when I live big, I need to shout at the mountaintop that I'm me and I'm here and I get to do this and I found myself and this pomp and circumstance of, oh, I'm where I need to be and I need to let the whole world know. But then my wife would say, but playing big sometimes could be very quiet. Again, the ma, if you think about it, the playing big is, I know myself so much that I don't have to say shit to nobody. I'm within my understanding of my own value, that itself is playing big, that I am bigness itself, largeness itself. I am expansion myself. And so therefore, just my existence is already proof that I am living big. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to prove anything because I know who I am. So going back to that question, the cost was, what part of me do I give away so that someone could be happy that I'm even here on this earth, right? And I think about all the people who maybe, and this is just, again, as a non-licensed professional, I could assume, especially when I have had, very intimate people in my life that have had, suicidal ideation, and it was this excruciating pain of existing because no one could understand how they feel on the inside.
So painful invisibility. So I guess for this pain to stop, I just want to end my life, and it has nothing to do with maybe it has everything to do with the way people perceive them, because it's like, oh, I didn't know, you seem strong on the outside. Oh, you keep smiling and laughing on the outside, so I didn't think anything was wrong. Feels like you got it.
I
got my own shit going on.
Right.
So.
I thought you were like super strong, that nothing could bother you, and nothing could get you to that point, right? And I think that was one of the biggest tolls taken, was I had to keep offering pieces of me. And then in the healing process is trying to recover what parts I can, and then making something new with the pieces that have been found. Right?
Like a salvaging,
repiecing, and sometimes too, and in
in a lot of situations, it's like, with the pieces that you have now, what can you build that's even stronger, right? And that's tough.
Yeah.
Because then you have to find the strength to even put the pieces together, right? And this is where I feel, just kind of as a side branch of what we're talking about, and I think that's why having these deep conversations is so important, having the community is so important, because then sometimes this is where I have to say, oh, I need help. And that is the one thing you don't say out loud, especially as an Asian man. I need help.
Because what would happen?
Because the impending doom that is attached to this fucking phrase, 3-word phrase, I need help, is deep, deep shame, deep weakness.
An admittance.
It's just this deep sense of you didn't work hard enough, right? This deep sense that it's like, you're not fucking worth it. There's a deep inadequacy when you have to ask for help, because you're a man. You should get your shit together. You should have your shit together. You should be successful. You should be showering yourself with $100 bills every morning and every night, right? You should already have a wife and like 2.5 kids,
And just be good with all of it.
and just be good with all of it, and be like okay and smile all the time.
What is your message for Asian men out there right now, struggling with their mental health, struggling with their sense of purpose, sense of unworthiness, imposter syndrome, all of it? What would you say to them if I gave you this magical megaphone where you could speak into the spiritual minds of all Asian men in the world right now?
That's funny.
What would you say?
The first thing that just came to mind, and I've never really actually said this out loud, and I never even thought about it until now, which is this: take a chance on yourself. Really take a chance on yourself, because you get to decide how worthy you are, how much value you have. You get to decide that. And when you decide that, you're probably exponentially much more valuable than that. Just inherently, because you're alive, because you exist. So take a chance on it. There are people who are willing to help. They just need to know where you are. How can they help you if they don't know where you are?
Fire up the flare.
Fire up the flare, right? Like, whatever this machismo or like toxic masculinity bullshit that you have as a shield hasn't been protecting you anyway.
Not been hurting you.
It's not been hurting you, right? It's been this dead weight that you've been like pulling around that's slowing everything down, and then you wonder why everything is the way it is, because we are not invited to put the shield down. So take a chance on yourself to put that shield down. Take a chance on yourself to say, I need help. Take a chance to even say, like, it would be great for someone to love me differently. I think the word love too is really important. Like, take a chance on yourself so that maybe you could love yourself differently, because maybe love was never part of your equation. And if people would say, well, I don't know what love is, I'm like, well, then you have to find out. You have to discover. Love is not a one-dimensional concept. It is infinite. Love is anything and everything. It's a power that cannot be contained. And so if, some men out there say, like, I don't know what the fuck love is, and it's kind of like, well, how about, do you like yourself in the morning? And if you like yourself in the morning, like, do you love yourself? What does that mean? What's that definition? Love for you may be completely defined differently than it is for me, right?
Like, are you willing to try the grand experimentation of love, which is yourself?
Which is yourself, right? Because then we think about, like, well, if I find the one, then I know what love is. And it's like, well, how the fuck can you properly love he, she, or they outside of yourself if you don't even know how to love yourself? Because now you're going to end up accidentally or maybe purposefully projecting all of your shit onto this other person who did not know. Unbeknownst to them, you had all this fucking shit that you haven't worked through, and now they are the target of your maybe lack of courage, or maybe inability to even want to discover maybe that you could heal yourself or be on the way to healing, right? To be able to fully love, right?
Taking a chance to love yourself. What else could that look like?
Taking a chance to love yourself is to be honest. I think it's to be really honest, to be really understand that truth, even though sometimes painful, is the way out. I feel like what that could look like is you don't have to be ready, because readiness is such a bullshit cop out word, because you're never going to be ready. By the time you think you're ready, your whole life is already ending, and then it's too late. Right? You're never ready for when someone passes away. You're never ready when someone is ushered into this world through birth. You're never ready to be let go of a job. You're never ready to find a new job that just kind of suddenly appears, right? Whatever incarnation of readiness that you think is, you'll never be ready. Just one day you have to choose and say, I'm fucking tired of this. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to talk like this anymore. I don't want these people around me anymore, because they make me feel the worst about myself, right? So love means to just go without knowing. It's the ma again. You're going into spaces that are unknown, that don't have any definition, that don't have any rail guards, and don't have any arrows pointing to say, go in this direction. It is anything and everything can happen in that space. And that's what that could look like.
Beautiful.
Give me a hug. Yes, 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 yes.
Love you, brother.
I love you too.